Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to World This Morning. This is Shahzad Khan. I happen to be Shaza Hashmi, and we both, like every other morning, are hoping that you guys are having an amazing start of the day. If not, we're here to change that. How are you doing, Shahzad?
Well, thank you very much, Shaza, for this lovely introduction. I feel wonderfully well as well. And for everybody who's out there in 46 different countries, ladies and gentlemen, we hope and pray that everybody out there is doing wonderfully well and as we are doing over here back in Pakistan as well. But for everybody who's out there, ladies and gentlemen, today, the time's a little short and we have too much to kind of share with each and every one of you. So which is why today, ladies and gentlemen, we have actually picked up on tourism.
Oh, yes.
Tourism, and there's a reason why we have picked up on tourism, ladies and gentlemen, and that is that the incumbent government, our Prime Minister, Mr. Imran Khan himself, is actually kind of, talking about tourism and how to kind of, bring in ways with which tourism is actually going to flourish within this country as well. Right. Shiza actually has a few figures to share, and then I will share whether from the coldest desert and to coming down to the deepest sea over here in Pakistan, what variety do we have? We have religious tourism over here. We actually have adventurous tourism over here as well. We have seeing your relatives tourism over here as well, because a lot of people definitely do travel, a lot of expats do travel from outside Pakistan to come and visit their families over here back home, or to probably just check their properties, whether they're in safe hands or not.
Definitely. Well, tourism is a recreational activity that I think goes in every single person's life one way or another. And what better destination than Pakistan? And I keep telling you that because, yes, like Shahzad already mentioned, it has a lot to offer. Now, again, Shahzad, when we talk about the incumbent government, I think they were the only ones who did realize that this is a huge potential. And if we're looking at permanently changing the course or the picture for better for our country, we have to tap onto these markets as well. Wow. So the latest stats were found in 2019 because unfortunately the pandemic then started. And Shahzad, a lot of people, of course, a lot of foreigners and even Pakistanis came to visit Pakistan. And the sole contributions from tourism to the GDP was around 5.9%. Wow. And experts say that it is, in the coming years, it is going to go up to 11% contributed to GDP. How amazing is that?
It is amazing, and not just that, for everybody who might be wondering, outside Pakistan, because you live in a country where you have never probably gotten a chance to come down to Pakistan. So, ladies and gentlemen, first things first, we have 5 peaks which are actually, in size, if you're going to talk about them, they're higher than 8,000 meters. Namely K2, Kashabram 1, Kashabram 2, Broad Peak, and Nanga Parbat. Okay.
Wow.
Now coming down to the 7,000ers, we have peaks which are actually higher than 7,000ers, and they are more than 108 peaks which are above 7,000 as well. Coming down below 7,000, ladies and gentlemen, we have 4,555 peaks over here in Pakistan. A lot of foreign tourists actually come to go to the K2 base camp and try. They give it a lifetime try as well, whether if they can actually kind of go on the top of the K2 as well. There are a lot of expeditions which take place. We have desert rallies over here. We have Shandur Polo Festival, which is one of the highest polo ground. And, we have a lot of water sports over here. We have a lot of dams. There are a lot of beautiful places to actually witness and see and enjoy over here in Pakistan. We have a small report to share. Go ahead, take a look. Once you guys will come back, we have somebody over here who actually wants to share the beautiful side of Pakistan with each and every one of you. How? That's something which we will be talking about. Let's take a look at this report.
Let's do it.
Little is known about tourism in Pakistan compared to many other countries, which makes its utterly dazzling beauty all more jaw-dropping when you first lay your eyes on some of the country's natural wonders and historic cities. From palaces of ancient kingdoms gone by to the crystal waters of lakes and vast, sweeping valleys, Pakistan truly does have it all. From the mighty stretches of the Karakoram in the north and the vast alluvial delta of Indus River in south, Pakistan remains a land of high adventure and nature. Trekking, mountaineering, whitewater rafting, wild boar hunting, mountain and desert jeep safaris, camel and yak safaris, trout fishing and bird watching are few activities which entice the adventure and nature lovers to Pakistan. The crystal clear greenish blue water of the world famous Sefal Maluk, spread on 1.06 square meter, having 113 feet deep and 3,224 meters high from the sea level, which attracts hundreds of thousands of tourists, mountaineers and nature lovers. Pakistan is endowed with rich and varied flora and fauna, high Himalayas, Karakoram and Hindu Kush ranges with their alpine meadows and permanent snowline coniferous forests down the sub-mountain scrub, the vast Indus Plain merging into Great Desert, the coastline and the wetlands all offer a remarkably rich variety of vegetation and associated wildlife.
And this is how beautiful, ladies and gentlemen, my Pakistan is. And without any further ado, I'll make sure that I introduce these amazing guests over here in the studios. One of the guests, ladies and gentlemen, happens to have experienced with this other guest who actually made sure that, that they came up with this very own company with the name of Aao Dekhen Pakistan. She wants to take people to different places as well, and they want to have this first-hand experience, may it be adventure, may it be desert rally, may it be anything. Whenever it comes to tourism, it can probably include anything. That there might be religious tourism as well. We have Panja Sahib over here, right next to Hassan Abdal, and then a lot of Sikh Yatris are actually coming in, from the Lahore border as well. Credit goes to Mr. Imran Khan once again. But ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, an entrepreneur over here in the studios with us, and she is Miss Faiza Mirza. Hello, Assalamu Alaikum, good morning.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much for this very warm welcome.
Wa alaikum assalam. Thank you very much for this amazing and warm reply as well. It's wonderful to have you here in the studios. And alongside Miss Faiza, ladies and gentlemen, we've actually been joined by somebody who actually took this first-hand experience, from Aao Dekhen Pakistan, and she's going to actually kind of, it's a test for Faiza over here because, whatever she's going to say, that's what we're going to believe in because she actually had the experience firsthand as well. Whether Aao Dekhen Pakistan is credible or not, whether you have fun with them or not is something which we'll be asking her as well.
Only the truth.
Yeah, and she herself happens to be an entrepreneur as well. She is Miss Asma Shabbe. Hello, Assalamu Alaikum, good morning.
Wa alaikum salam, and thank you for inviting us.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Ladies.
It's wonderful to have you.
Thank
This is
you.
the only trip which you got for free, and that too sponsored by Faiza. Because Faiza wanted somebody to come and please, hey, you know what, you need to say
No,
something
no,
about my
no.
company.
Yeah,
No
but it's
way.
not going to be all fun and games because we do need the honest
Yeah.
answers. But
Sure.
Faiza, last time you were here, you were in a
Yeah.
totally different capacity, right? Athlete, sort
Yeah.
of, or I want to say a team player. What happened? How come you have changed paths now? You're a
I'm-
businesswoman now.
I'm still an athlete.
Okay, both of the
I
things.
still play for a national team as well.
Yeah.
But last year it just started. My brother is very keen to visit northern areas of Pakistan, so I used to see his stories. I used to listen his stories when he used to visit northern areas of Pakistan, and then I always wanted to be there to see. But because of my busy life, I'm doing job and I'm running a short business, another business
Okay.
related to fitness and sports.
Nice,
So
mashallah.
I never get a chance to visit northern areas of Pakistan. And last year was my first time when I visited Naran Kagan and Saif al Maluk and surrounding areas. And then I've been to Malam Jabba, Sawat. So last year I thought that why don't we take people in these places which are worth seeing. Like people are spending a lot of money and going abroad to have fun and to see to these
But
kind
that's
of places.
different fun,
Yes.
That's very different fun.
Yeah, of course. But I feel like, Faiza, it was a good time for you to start because, ladies and gentlemen, we talk about the pandemic. It's been about 2 years now.
Yeah.
So yes, tourism all over the world did take a hit. Luckily for Pakistan, it played the other way around as well because all the Pakistanis even who used to go abroad to spend their months of probably summer, even spring for that matter, were looking within Pakistan for all the places. So you tapped the market on the right time, but how has the response been so far?
The response is very good, and why I started this Aao Dekho Pakistan because when I contacted those agencies or organizations who are taking the trips to these areas, there was no lady who's doing that.
Oh.
So
And
whatever.
with ladies, there's a different trust factor, right? Like if I were to go for the girls
so
group.
the trip I joined, like it was 90% boys and only 10% ladies were there.
Okay.
And none of the ladies were like without their males or their husbands.
Okay, got it.
So I, being a girl, I can't take my father or my brothers every time to go with me because I want to go there. So this thought came into my mind, and I said, why don't I create environment which is very friendly and trustworthy and trustable for the females as well.
All right. So now you're not taking your brother or your father with you, but what you're doing is that you're taking somebody else's brother or father
Yes.
with
With
you.
their wives and with their sisters.
On this adventure, that was just a different angle of thinking about it
it's funny.
as well, and not just that. I'll kind of share something which is related to me and funny at the same time as well.
Okay.
And that is that as soon as I'm going to get to know that okay, hey, you know what? There's a lady who's actually planning all of these trips. I think all of my friends are going to jump on the wagon as well. They'll be like, "Leke chalo hame dikhao Pakistan." But that's good. It's a great initiative that was on a lighter note, obviously as well. But when we speak about tapping into the tourism industry, there are a lot of people who expect a lot from all of these agencies or probably organizations who plan such events or who plan such trips as well. Because if we are to talk about, I think I will talk about Nepal, where there's a lot of tourism related to a lot of foreigners coming in. What do we for the expeditions, because
Okay, yeah.
they are home to a lot of peaks which are above 8,000 meters as well. And what they say, people, what they have experienced over there is that that you can the infrastructure is amazing. You're going to get hotels, and the best hotels, even at 7,000 meters as well, or even at 8,000 meters as well. So there's no discomfort. Now, speaking about over here, because for the very first time when I went to Kailash, PTV took us, but we went on a Dulhan bus, and it felt like as if, we might, just fall somewhere on the way as well. And,
So
it
scary.
it was very scary, So you really need to be safe in the first place and then try all of these adventure trips. So how do you make sure that all of those trips, which are organized by WTM Pakistan, are safe and that everybody's going to come back safe and healthy? And do you sign an agreement or something?
Yes,
Is there a
yes,
way?
I
Do you?
I do sign
Oh
the
my
agreement.
God,
Wow.
Because God forbid, anything can happen anywhere. But for my side, I take all the precautionary measures. I hire latest and luxury transports to provide the comfort to my clients. I try my best to get the best hotels where families feel comfortable, where the atmosphere of the hotels are good. So I do work a lot before planning a trip. That's why I don't just plan a trip on every weekend. So I just plan a trip once a month.
Of course.
So I have to do a homework before planning any trip, before taking the families. Like in this trip recently, I had a trip on the weekend, and Asma has joined with her small daughter. She's like
So
few months
sweet.
old.
14
So
months.
14 months old.
Okay, mashallah.
So there was
In
another
1 year
family.
and 2 months. That's more than
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
So there was another family, had 2 kids. So I have to work a lot, do my homework, so my clients feel comfortable and I don't like interact with any mishap.
And that's great on your part because you are being sincere to your job. But sorry, I'm going to put you in a hard spot here. Moving on to Asma. So you tell us all the true things about this.
Yes.
But let me make that into a question first of all. In terms of your experience, while you let us know how it was when you went for the first time with the team and everything, do let us know about, because this is one thing a lot of people might have worried about, the service sector, the attitude of the people. So now we see that because of the tourism increasing, about 2.37 million jobs will be created in the coming time, which is great. I absolutely love it. People are going to get employed. But are they ready for the tourism influx?
For my
Your
point
personal
of view,
experience, of
yes, for
course.
my point of view, when we are going to have this trip, so at that moment we have so many options. Like there are so many travel organizers that are organizing these kind of trips to the northern areas.
Okay.
So when we came across with the event that WTM Pakistan was going to organize, so at that moment I was very curious because I had a very young girl, small baby girl. So I was very curious about the comfortability because I cannot compromise on that.
Of course.
So yes, the experience was very great, starting from the hotel selection till organizing, managing, everything was superb.
So how did you get to know about WTM Pakistan in the first place, and how did you book your trip, and how did you pay them, and were they like, okay, madam, you really need to pay us before we leave from Islamabad,
So,
otherwise you're not
yes.
going to be on the bus.
So the overall the procedure was very friendly because
Okay.
yes, we personally know Faiza because I own my own online brand.
Mashallah.
So she had did brand modeling with us. So we personally know him. So no higher.
And so
Nice.
did she charge
No.
you for the trip?
She's like, oh, iske badle mein mujhe ye de dena hai.
I didn't charge for the modeling, so
Oh, that's really nice though.
No, but there's one more point over here. There's one more point over here, and that is that, okay, since you didn't charge her for modeling, so she even
No, I
didn't
didn't
give you
charge.
money.
No, she
That's
didn't
wonderful.
charge,
But
no.
the most, I'm sorry that I'm actually going to bring this up as well. But just before the show
Be
got
ready, you
started,
guys.
I asked her, okay, how much do you have to pay for a 2-day trip? And the trip was to the north, right?
North.
And she said that it's only 5,000 rupees.
For
Which
the first
includes
time
your
it
stay,
was.
it includes your travel. It includes dinners, obviously,
dinners,
both the days as well, breakfast,
jeep rides
lunch,
till Saif al-Malook,
jeep rides till
lunch.
Saif al-Malook and whatnot. And then I was like, how many people did you take? So she was like, okay, the ones for free or the ones you paid? So I was like, how many people were there in total? So she said, okay, there were 30 people in total. I was like, how many paid? She said 24. So here's the 25th we over here in the studio. But okay, that's not a problem. But when you're an entrepreneur, you think about these overheads, very closely. You kind of jot it down as well. So giving favors, do you think that it comes in handy as well? Do you think that it will actually further motivate, or word of mouth will spread amongst people that, hey, you know what, let's go with our WTM Pakistan?
As I told you that it's my start. I'm in a development stage, and let me tell you one thing. Here in Pakistan, people always want the discounts.
Yeah.
Right.
They go for the discount. If
It's
they,
a culture,
they got-
man.
Exactly. If they will be going to foreign trips, there won't be any discount.
Exactly.
The flights, they will not get any discount on the flights.
I wish we did though.
Yeah, but in Pakistan, people, they spend a lot of money outside of the Pakistan, but when they spend in Pakistan, they look for the discounts and they look for the, things in favor of them.
Well,
so,
yes, that's a
imagine-
culture, but
Yeah, just one last
Okay,
thing. So
okay.
imagine, since your brother's into adventure sports and
Yeah.
trekking, going to base camps as well. So, and you're not willing to take your brother or father as well for that reason. But if somebody is out there, there might be, I'm sure, a lot of people who actually want to travel to the north, since I haven't, and this is for the very first time that I will be going to Hunza or places beyond that as well. Costing is something which is really close to
Yeah.
my mind these days. I'm like, okay, because I want to have enough that, God forbid, if anything goes wrong with my car or anything, an emergency,
course.
that I should be able to cope up with that. I'm not sure whether, we going to get 4G signals over
Yeah,
there or not. So everybody needs to be prepared. So how do you prepare your team that, God forbid, if there's any adversity which takes place, how do you tackle with that? God
I
forbid?
think, Asma, let's begin with you. How did you prepare yourself? And then you close it up for us, okay?
ठीक है.
Yeah, how did you prepare yourself? As in, what were you expecting for
I think she just kept extra diapers, probably.
no, because, yeah, because you know what, Asma, actually a lot of people right now, a lot of young mothers are looking at you and probably getting inspired. People want to travel with their young ones and not leave them behind. So let us know the experience.
I had my 3 bags with me, only for 2 days trip.
So
Wow.
cute.
One night,
Okay.
just because of my kid, and obviously, if anything happens, so I must have so many
Right.
things.
So
with
that
me.
was the one thing you were
Yes,
worried about,
one
nothing
thing.
else.
Yes.
You relied on Faiza to look
Yes,
after other
obviously.
things.
So
Okay.
which is
of
why I
course.
can recall this interesting story. So my sister, alongside her 3 daughters, were actually traveling to Hunza. So my brother-in-law is very picky about okay, what to take, what not to take. He does not want excessive luggage. So imagine that even before leaving from Islamabad, their car was actually touching down the road as well.
When
They had too many bags in them, yeah.
When you had a
They had
baby,
too
then
many
you
bags
can't.
in them, and I was like, man, how are you going to go reach there as well? So I think, what do you guys tell your customers that okay, you know what,
Well,
just one bag only?
Yeah, I do share initially of the program before leaving for any trip. So, and I always said that please make your backpack smaller.
Yeah.
Make your backpack smaller because we are not going to have a fashion show. Some, 1 or 2 jeans or 1 or 2 jacket or upper will be fine.
All right.
So
Okay.
I always tell them to please have a smaller backpack so you can enjoy your trip.
Yeah, and one
You know,
last thing.
yeah.
One last thing, and that is that since obviously we are paying 5,000 rupees for 2 days, but over here in Pakistan, people have this habit of asking for tea almost after every hour.
Ah,
So don't you think that it's going to actually have an impact on the cost as well? Because imagine 30 people having a cup of tea after and every hour. हाँ जी भाई साहब चाय मंगवाते हैं यार बहुत
yeah.
बेटा
Do you
चाय
have a
मंगवा दो
limit
please.
or a package?
So
If
what do
this
you
is
do?
what you'll
What do
get.
you do to those people who are like यार बेटा चाय तो पिला दो यार कोई पेप्सी हो जाएगी.
Sometimes I give them, and sometimes I tell them that you are
Happen
just,
with the
you have
juice
just paid
packs.
5,000, not 50,000. Please stay in your limit.
Well, that's wonderful. Thank you very much, Faiza, and thank you very much, Asma, for joining
you
us.
so
It was
much.
wonderful conversation.
I know, it was so
And
fun.
you know what I feel as of now is that that the person who's actually initiated such a campaign, where he or she wants to take people so that they can see the whole of Pakistan and how beautiful it is, and that's how lively and lovely they are. I think everybody would want to be a part of your team as well in future. Inshallah, we wish you best of luck. And for everybody who's out there,
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, right now we're headed to a very short break. I had an amazing segment. Well, I feel really good, so I am going to bring to you guys, we are in fact, something heartwarming in the next segment. You have to stay tuned to find out what. Good morning.
let's do this. Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. For everybody who just got tuned into PTV World, you watch it World this morning alongside my very intelligent co-host, Ms. Shiza Hashmi.
Wow.
And I happen to be Shahzad Hassan Kar. Earlier, we were in conversation with these amazing entrepreneurs who came up with this idea of Aao Dekhen Pakistan. But ladies and gentlemen, imagine that your eyesight is weak and you really cannot see it for real. So what are you going to do? There are angels on this planet Earth as well who are actually working on this as well, and a lot of kids, imagine if they're sitting right in front of their television, you keep on telling them, hey kid, it's not healthy for you to sit right in front of the TV. It's just because of the fact that they cannot see the TV clearly when they're away from it. We have a small report to share. Take a look. And what is this angel doing over here in Pakistan and all over the world is something which we will be talking about. Let's take a look.
Let's do this.
Yes.
80% of the learning of kids up to the age 12 is through vision. So if nobody corrects their vision, chances are most of those kids would end up dropping out of schools. I believe that our mission not only to screen kids but is to collect data at the same time. When we train teachers or other individuals to carry out the mission, it's easy for them to use, it's not costly, so we can serve more and more children.
Shazad, why do we need to talk about this? It is, yes, it is heartwarming, of course, but we need to realize that we personally, in our lives, know a lot of people who would do a lot of under the table stuff to promote their own children. And I think it's a natural instinct. You want your child to go, further and further in their life as well, whatnot. But this particular person, I feel like he's doing no prejudice to any child in Pakistan. He's bringing the best facilities to the people who need it, particularly the ones who are visually impaired, probably by birth, probably by accident. How did it all come into being? The program is called Nazar 2020, ladies and gentlemen. And without further ado, I think I'm not going to give it away. Let's be talking to the person who did conceive the idea and actually brought it to life itself. Ladies and gentlemen, yes, go on.
Yes, so ladies and gentlemen, not just that. I mean, imagine that somebody, you know, kind of made sure that he's going to sell his private property, that even after his life, you know, that the project should continue as well. I mean, such kind of dedication is something which we really need to draw inspiration from as well. And I cannot even tell you, you know, I feel amazing today because of this very amazing angel sitting over here in the studios with us. And he's going to let us know, you know, how did he actually went on his journey, and then, you know, where is he going to go. So, ladies and gentlemen, he happens to be a philanthropist as well, all the way from the United States of America to Pakistan, making sure that he's going to spread his love over here in Pakistan as well. He is Mr. Shaklan Khan. Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning.
Thank you so much for having me. Wa alaikum assalam.
Thank you very much for joining us, and it's wonderful to have you over here in the studios with us as well. So, since we're short on time, let's keep it quick and crispy.
Sure thing.
What happened? What is Nazar 2020, and where is it going to go?
And where's the spirit coming from?
Well, spirit comes from within.
Yeah, of course.
So, you know, going back 20 years, so to speak, I've been in the U.S. for the last 30 years. My son was born, I took him to school when he was 5 years old, and they asked me to provide two things. One was the immunization certification, and they asked me to go have his eyesight checked.
All right.
And at that point, it just triggered in my head that, you know, since I grew up in Pakistan, I really never had a chance or never really saw this kind of practice in Pakistan schools. So we took my son to the doctor and found that his eyesight was weak. So had he gone to school, he would not have been able to see the board. So at that point, it just stayed in my mind for many, many years. Up until 2017, I decided that, you know, why don't I just go and see how bad the problem is in Pakistan, since there is no system like that. So I selected a school, inner city school in Lahore, and it is a school from 6th grade to 10th grade, and I ended up doing a small little camp to see how bad the eyesight is for the students. And I ended up finding out that there were about 28% of the students who couldn't see the board. So imagine if you can't see the board, 3 may be 8 to you, and if you're trying to do addition and subtraction, you can never get to the right answer. And it was equally shocking for the teachers. Once they found out that 28% of the kids can't see the board, they realized that they were scolding them for nothing because it's not their fault. They just can't see the board. So I have created a kit, so to speak, and without any delay or anything, once I find out a child has a vision problem, I give them eyeglasses right on the spot. And I ended up giving them 23% of the kids ended up getting glasses, rest of the 5%. They had some other problems, so I referred them to local hospitals for further inspections.
Wow, it's wonderful. And you know, since it was your son in the first place and you realized that, hey, you know what, it might be a bigger problem, and in thinking about it, I mean, imagine that over in Pakistan, I don't think that there was ever a question from the school administration that, you know, hey, you know what, you probably need to go get yourself or son checked up and then come back and let us know whether you can see the board or not. And this is very apt because in today's age, if we talk about tablets, we talk about mobile devices, television, you know, all of those kids channel on YouTube, which the kids are singing to every single day.
Coco Melon.
Yeah, you know, so we kind of never realize, even as parents as well. So moving on, sir, you know, since you just went to one school and, you know, these total strength were 5,700 students, out of that 22% is a high percentage. So
It's
imagine the things going on all over Pakistan in schools. I mean, imagine what kids might be going through. So what do you plan for the future? Because that's one school where 22% of the population actually needed glasses or spectacles for that matter. We have thousands and thousands of schools over here where there's no system of testing their eyes in the first place.
Yeah, sure. So that was just the beginning. I wanted to see for myself how big the problem is. So just like you pointed out, problem is quite big. If 24% of the kids can't see the board, can you imagine the social impact it has over time? Generally, in poor classes or lower middle class, even those families, they can't afford to do so. The only thing they end up doing is taking their kids out of school and putting them to welding, trade school, so on and so forth, because they don't believe their kids are smart enough. Actually, problem lies somewhere else. It's their eyesight. So when I realized that, I ended up contacting another nonprofit within the U.S. I took the idea to them. I showed them my numbers. They have schools all over Pakistan, so I asked them if they could allow me to test their schools all over Pakistan. So just like you said, they have about 5,700 students all over Pakistan in different provinces. And just to mention, ethnicity makes a big difference in your genetics and so on and so forth. So some genetics are prone to having bad eyesight, so on and so forth. So it gave me an idea to go through different ethnicities in Pakistan and have those students tested. So I tested them.
Interesting. I didn't know that before. I mean, of course, when you talk about the demographics or the geographical region you're coming from, that may make sense. But ethnicity to do with eyesight, I never knew.
Yeah, so different genetics we're made up of different genetics.
Which went into it probably. Yeah.
That's right.
Right.
And if you go to certain parts of the world, there is hardly anybody who has any vision problems. Yeah. But in Pakistan, at least, within my little bit of study, there is no formal studies that have been done that I found. So I'm creating this database to figure out more the data I collect, better results we can have for us to move forward. So going back to the point, I ended up creating this system where I trained teachers in each regions for that organization. So they carried out the mission by testing students in their own schools, providing them glasses. So I have I have screened about 10,000 students in Pakistan so far.
Is it an annual thing, the camp you're talking about?
Yeah, so I used to do this annually, but going forward now, I'm changing the model a little bit, where I'm going to hire optometrists in different regions, and they will be responsible for going to different schools every single day and doing testing and providing eyewear to students.
Wow. This is amazing, of course. This is so inspiring, which is why you're here as well, Mr. Saklan. And, for someone who has never had eyesight issues, this doesn't even seem like a real problem. And I have known those people, of course. I have been that person probably for half of my life, but I'm not that person anymore. I can see that thing. But here's the thing, Shahzad. So I'm going to share a very small story. An 11-year-old from my, friends of friends, a sort of family, extended, whatnot. So this guy, he's never wearing glasses. No one knows he has issue with his eyesight. Just a cute little kid, right? But all that he looks at, he's looking at it like this squinted eyes. And so the parents, just for the sake of it, felt like maybe he has a headache, whatever. They went to the doctor. And, he had bad eyesight. He wore the glasses for the first time. And you know what he said? He was shocked. He went like, I thought that's how you see the world. He didn't even know something is wrong with his eyes. Can you imagine seeing everything in blood vision and realizing that this is how the world is? Exactly. So it's a huge thing. You're making a change in their lives. I have to take you back to one very interesting thing. Of course, you have been talking about it, the records or the research you're collecting. In the video as well, you spoke about medical records, one thing majorly lacking in Pakistan. What are you going to do with that information?
So ultimately, in my opinion, the program Nazar 2020, we can't keep raising money. So far, I'm using a lot of my own money. There are some very kind, close friends who have funded this project so far. But ultimate goal is to reach some point where we have collected enough information and that information gives us a good direction. There is no such program that exists in Pakistan. So hopefully one day, once I have enough data, maybe in the next 3 to 5 years, enough data, enough information, enough structure built around this program, maybe we can ask the provincial or state or the national government to fund this program. And since we are taking all the bugs out by that time, I'm very hopeful that this will be a very refined program that we can just use its existing infrastructure at that point and just keep funding it and keep testing children all over Pakistan.
Exactly.
It does sound promising.
Yeah, and we want to wish you best of luck on this as well. And sir, speaking about that, since I'm not sure whether you've been on any other television interview before us or not, but what I would love to say over here is that Pakistan was ranked on #1 amongst being the most philanthropic nation as well.
That is very
so
true.
even if it's not the provincial or the federal government, there'll be a lot of people who'll be
Yes,
happy to
the public.
kind of join hands with you and help all of those other kids. But now there's something which I could not comprehend. I mean, I know that you're a philanthropist, you feel for those kids as well, because you understood what your kid went through, and you felt as if, all these other kids are your kids as well, which is wonderful to have that feeling. But, for somebody to decide that, that even when I die, the program needs to go on. And so you've sold your private property, you made an endowment fund out of it as well, and you want this to continue for all of those people who might not be able to even afford spectacles for that reason. So taking another extra leap, what was your family's take on that? Hey, you know what, you really do not have to sell your private property to do so. That's our right.
No. This program is really supported by my family very much so. So they were part of the decision, and
That's
we
really
decided
nice.
that God has given us enough. So whatever is extra, it can be given to others who are less fortunate.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's really the decision took us to this path. So it's a seed that we planted, and there are many more folks who are going to join, and I know there are many commitments that I have already received. So it's going to grow to a very, very big endowment, and hopefully it'll continue on for as long as the time exists for us to
Inshallah.
help people. And
Alhamdulillah.
I hope one of these days, and one of these days should not be very too far in the future, where we have enough wealth in this country that we don't need to have these kind of non-profit programs, and we can fund these kind of activities through our own government and own infrastructure versus having other people trying to fund and raise money.
Exactly,
for this
and,
cause.
and that's truly what we feel, and that too, when we see Mr. Imran Khan as our Prime Minister, I think we're all very hopeful as well.
We're so
alhamdulillah.
lucky as well.
Exactly, but sir, one more thing adding on to this as well, and that is that obviously you providing spectacles is the first ever solution toolkit you came up with.
Sure
You
thing.
go to the school, you see, okay, whether they need a spectacle or not, and you give them the spectacle right there and then.
Yes.
Now, the technology has moved on. Do you think that Nazar 2020 will probably move on to such a handy laser treatment, there and then, so, okay, your eyes are good, man, you do not even need spectacles, let's go back home.
Well, currently the program is specifically designed for students and children up to the age of 15 or so. And I think laser surgeries and so on are very expensive.
Of course.
I don't think we can provide young students quick surgeries right on the spot. So I think we will focus on providing them spectacles at this point, and hopefully we can take
If
care
their
of the
parents
problem.
agree to getting the
Well,
surgery
of
done,
course,
we can.
but Mr. Saklan, well, this is a step forward, yes, and I do like Shazad's idea. In the future, we would like you to probably
छोटी सी एक
incorporate
मशीन
that.
साथ लेके घूम रहे थक ठीक हो गए हो भाई तुम
But
चलो
well, because this is such a genuine perception of your the program that we're talking about, I'm pretty sure if you lend out your voice to the people out there, a lot of doctors, or eye doctors especially, would be interested in working for you pro bono. It is for the betterment of the society. So towards the end of the segment, I want you to give out an inspiring message to everyone who is watching you right now. This is your camera. Speak to them, please.
Well, if you can help one person, do it. This was Mother Teresa said, if you can't feed thousands, and if you can feed one, please feed one.
Yes,
So if you are in the field, if you are someone who is in the medical field, specifically in the eye department, give a little bit of time to this cause, and maybe devote some time in your neighborhood, in your city. Maybe once a month you can go and do a little camp in your own neighborhood, in your schools, and at least identify how big the problem is. I think if we have the opportunity to let children know that their eyesight is weak, bad, it will stick in their mind for the rest of their lives, and at some point they would realize that I need to go get glasses. So even identifying the problem is a major contribution.
Wonderful.
Definitely.
Thank you very much, Saklan Bhai, for being with us. It's a wonderful cause, and please make sure that you continue. And if there's anything which we can do, PT World can do, this platform can do, we'll always be there with you, joining hands.
That is very kind of you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you
It's
very
our
much for
pleasure.
joining us, and for everybody who's out there, ladies and gentlemen, all of these people who actually come on these shows as well, we should really draw inspiration from all of these people, because the kind of work they're doing for the rest of the people, I think is something which we really need to admire and learn.
Definitely, and this is the reason we bring them to you, ladies and gentlemen. So if you do know any similar stories, we'd love to take your story and actually share it with thousands of people on our screen. Write to us to let us know on our Facebook page with the name of,
Well, this morning.
on Twitter,
Well, this morning without a G.
on YouTube,
Well, this morning.
and the repeat of this show.
5 past midnight. Till the next time, look after yourselves and make sure that your kid's not sitting right in front of the television.
Yes.
Because if he or she really needs to get their eyes tested. Good morning. Bye-bye.
Good morning.
Thank you, sir.